Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bharata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, text number 7 onwards. Shariram yad vapnoti yacchapi utkramati shvaraha grihit vaitani sanyati vayur gandhani vahe. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Here the living entity is described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade, and if he likes, he can move to a lower class. Minute independence is there. The change his body undergoes depends upon him. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him on to the next type of body. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or a dog, he is sure to change to a cat's or dog's body. And if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka in the spiritual world and will associate with Krishna. It's a false claim that after the annihilation of the body, everything is finished. The individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another, and his present body and present activities are the background of his next body. So very nicely explained how the consciousness takes us from one body to another. So activities and the thoughts in the present body are the background of the next body. One gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit this body in due course. It is stated here that the subtle body, which carries the conception of the next body, develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigrating from one body to another and struggling while in this body is called karshati, or struggle for existence. But in the shloka, although Prabhupada didn't elaborate on it, it says, the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. So air, when it passes over a beautiful, fragrant garden with lots of flowers, it carries the aroma of the flowers. And when it passes over stool, it carries the aroma of the stool. But the air itself is not the fragrance of flowers or the aroma or the odor, bad odor of stool. Means, although the soul gets new bodies, works, when the soul is in this body, whatever action it does, whatever association it takes, whatever thought process it has, it carries that consciousness to the next. But the original consciousness of soul is never affected. It just gets covered over. What the point I'm trying to make is, we have to understand it properly. Now the soul, every soul falls from the spiritual world. So means the soul has its spiritual body in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, every soul the body he has is non-different from the body. Means the soul and body, there is no difference. Just like in case of Krishna, the Prabhupada many times explained, there is no inside and outside of Krishna. It's all one. He's made of Sat, Chit, and Anand. Similarly, the soul is also made of three ingredients: Sat, Chit, and Anand. In the spiritual body, every body, the body, that the form is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So that is the spiritual body. It might look like, especially in Golok Vrindavan, it might look like a gopa, it might look like a girl, a gopi, it might look like a tree, it might look like a cow, it might look like a peacock, but everything is spiritual. Every body is spiritual, completely spiritual. So now, when that spiritual person falls down in the material world, howsoever falls down, we're not going to discuss that. So, and then it becomes that, like we have studied, the size of the spirit soul is, in the material world, is 1/10,000 part of the tip of the hair. It's very tiny, almost negligible. It's so small. 1/10,000 part of the tip of the hair. The tip of the hair itself is so tiny. What to speak of 10,000 part of that? So the size of the soul in the material world, which is conditioned, completely conditioned. The completely conditioned means materially conditioned with no sign of spirituality whatsoever. That is the size of the soul. But there is a shape of the soul. The shape of the soul is the same shape that the living entity has in the spiritual world. That shape could be the shape of a peacock. That shape could be the shape of a tree. Because every soul or every living entity in the spiritual world is serving Krishna in one of the 5 rasas. That's it. Either Shantras, Dasaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalya, or Madhurya. So everybody has its particular shape because they have a particular rasa, particular relationship with Krishna. But now this living entity has fallen into the material world. So the shape of the soul remains the same. It doesn't change because that shape defines that identity, defines the relationship of that soul with Krishna. So that doesn't change. Of course, that relationship, like once Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Prabhupada, is our relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world static? Static means, does it eternally remain the same? And Prabhupada answered it in this way: no, our relationship is not static, it's ecstatic. Of course, Prabhupada's meaning was, in whatever relationship we are with Krishna, everybody is in ecstasy. He doesn't want to change the relationship, he doesn't want to change the mood, because that mood is a constitutional position of that soul. Of course, if he wants, he can change, because nothing is impossible in the spiritual world. But in general, they don't want to change. Just like Yashoda Maiya's mood towards Krishna is of Vatsalya rasa. She would never want to change it to Madhurya or Sakhya or other rasa. No way. Because every rasa is full in itself. So those who are in Shantras, like trees or animals or the grass or the flute, they don't want to change that because they love it. And they love it and Krishna loves it. They enjoy it completely. So that shape of the soul defines the relationship, the rasa that soul has with Krishna. So it remains the same, even in the even in the material world. Although the size of the soul changes, size of the soul in the spiritual world. Suppose it was a peacock, it's a full-grown peacock in the spiritual world. But now, when he fell down in the material world, it became 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. So in the material world, now he falls 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. And then in the material world, like we've been studying in Bhagavatam, he gets a body. Body is made of 8 different elements, and then the 3 modes of nature take over, then the senses and the sense objects. So many things. So now from this verse, whatever actions we perform, they define um, they mold our consciousness in such a way that if we develop the consciousness of a cat or a dog, we'll get the next body of a cat or a dog. So how it happens is the original consciousness of the soul, it gets covered over because now the soul is in complete ignorance. So he has forgotten that he was a peacock and he has a relationship with Krishna. Now that consciousness, although it's a body is of a peacock, but then the consciousness becomes of a cat or a dog. And how the body changes is when we die, the soul is taken out of this body, which is either cremated or buried, and that is it's gone. So the soul is out. Soul could be in the shape of a peacock, but now it's the consciousness of a cat. So the subtle body which goes with the soul, subtle body of mind, intelligence, and false ego, it always goes with the soul as long as the soul is in the material world. So that subtle body, because of consciousness, that subtle body takes the form of cat or a dog, if the consciousness has become of cat or dog. So the next body, then it gets, of course, it goes to Yamloka. Yamraja decides what kind of body he's going to get, but he decides according to whatever consciousness he has developed. And what kind of life is going to get, it depends upon whatever karma he has done. So then this soul is assigned a cat's body, then the soul is given a chance to go through the male cat's body at the time of conception into the female cat's body, and then all the material ingredients are so lined up in that particular mode of nature, so that soul inside the mother's cat's body, having the subtle body of a cat, it develops the gross body of a cat. And then the cat kitten is born, and little kitten is born, and everybody says it's very cute, and then you play with it. And then because the soul is pure, and when the kitten is born, he doesn't know what he is. He hasn't realized it. But then the mother cat comes, father cat comes, and they take care of that. And then he has his limitation of the body. He can only do the activities of a cat. Then he thinks he is cat, and he lives in the body of a cat like a cat. Because he's got the consciousness of a cat. So if the karmas, if it was a human being who has done some good karmas, but the consciousness was of a cat, then he can get to live in a nice house, being taken care of by rich family members, and he loves the body of a cat, and he lives like a cat. Although the soul, the original shape of the soul was of a peacock. So this is how now from body of a cat, he keeps on evolving. It depends upon the laws of nature. So when he comes again in the body of a human being, like Prabhupada said here, he has very minute independence. He can go up or down or remain at the same level. So down means going down to lower species of life. Remaining at the same level means he can become a human being next life, or he can go up, making demigod or other entities in the material world, or he can transfer himself to Krishna Loka. Transferring himself to Krishna Loka or spiritual world is by doing yoga. It could be Hatha Yoga, it could be Jnana Yoga, or it could be Bhakti Yoga. Hatha Yoga or Dhyana Yoga and Jnana Yoga in this day and age are very, very difficult to perform. Of course, that's a process, because Krishna himself spoke of that process in Bhagavad Gita. But the easiest way is Bhakti Yoga. Now, when we perform yoga in the human body, like we all are doing, and you all are planning to chant 64 rounds on Ekadashi. So observing Ekadashi fasting is itself a big yoga. And then on top of it, if we are going to chant 64 rounds attentively, then the yoga, then the soul is, although in the body of human being, with whatever consciousness we have, but somehow we got this benediction, or got this privilege to practice this bhakti yoga. Now the soul is trying to connect. Yoga means to connect with the God, connect our consciousness with God. So when we are trying to connect, when we are trying to perform this yoga or spiritual practices, so what happens to the soul, which was 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair, the spiritual body of that soul, it starts to grow. The soul is still inside this material body, but the spiritual body, if it was of a peacock, it starts to grow inside this material body of, say, a man or a woman. So when that growth of spiritual body has come to the level that he is fully grown, he has fully attained his shape, so that is the time when he leaves the body, material body, he goes back to the spiritual world, because now there cannot be any material body that he can live in. Until obviously there are cases where maybe he's ordered by Krishna that you stay here, or Guru, or for whatever other reason. Maybe like Bharat Maharaj's case, or although he has attained the stage of bhava, but because of one little mistake, that his consciousness at the time of death became of a deer, so he had to take the body of a deer. But even in that material body of a deer, because he was so spiritually evolved, he would always go to the hermitage of the sages. He would not go and hang out with the other deer. So that's why these spiritual practices or yogic practices are very, very, very important. And performance of them properly. So now the soul is developing. That is why it is said that whatever bhakti we have done, it remains a permanent asset. Means now the soul is starting to develop the spiritual body. Now that development will remain permanent. It will not go away. Even if it has developed maybe 10%, it will remain as it is. So he can start off wherever he has left in the previous life. But I read a joke about it that yes, the bhakti The progress in bhakti remains permanent, so he started wherever he left. But when we are chanting our rounds and we leave it in the middle, you have to start over and chant from first number or beat. It's not like, oh, because the bhakti process is permanent, so we don't lose. Means I can chant halfway through, leave my bead bag, and do the rest of my activities and come back and start from wherever I left. No. So for chanting is different. But bhakti process in itself, in principle, is in next life or even in this life, if somehow we have started the process, but some desires came in or some offenses came in and we got distracted, but whenever we take it up again, we start from that point where we left. So this is very technical. Of course, it's not like Prabhupada has explained it like this in one of the purposes. Different purpose he has written, so a conclusion becomes like that. So it's very important to protect our consciousness, to make sure our consciousness is properly placed in all our activities, in all our dealings, in all our talks, in all our emails. So the idea is to become Krishna conscious. That's why Prabhupada named the society. It's International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So idea is when we are Krishna conscious, or when we have removed the covering of material consciousness and we are trying to become Krishna conscious, so we do that process. The try should be very, very sincere. That's the whole idea. Not that our material consciousness, which we had, it again takes over, and then we start doing the activities which are materially motivated, materially aligned. We should avoid that, and that's when the intelligence comes in. Mind will always try to go towards the lower or baser values of life, but intelligence should stop it. And once we have developed consciousness, even to a certain extent, that I want to be Krishna conscious, or we start developing a taste for bhakti, for chanting, for service, for Harinam, Hari Katha, Hari Seva, Hari Puja, then automatically we will not get a taste in something else, because we are giving the original taste to the soul which it was hankering for. Will not enjoy at all anywhere else and doing anything else. You can try. Will not give pleasure. And even if it gives pleasure for a while, momentarily, you again want to go back to the spiritual activities. It's not like somebody is going to force you or we have to show it off to anybody. That's why we are doing it. We want to do it. That is why. Why? Because this is our original constitutional position. And it's very easy, very natural to get back to that position. So this process is there. Now it's up to us whether we want to take up the process of yoga to link ourselves with the Supreme, or we want to take the process of bhoga to enjoy different bodies in the material world. But if we take the process of bhoga, then that's what Prabhupada says from the previous verse, that it's called karshati, or struggle for existence. In the material world, everywhere there is struggle. Everywhere there are problems. Because material world is designed like that by Krishna. It's just like if an engineer designs a car, he knows what are the problems of the car, problems with the car, and what are the limitations of the car. And this material world is designed by Krishna. and it is designed to give us problems. That's how it is designed. And this body is also designed to give us problems. So we develop detachment from this body, or we develop a distaste for this body, that I don't want this material body. Okay. That's why knowledge is important. That's why Prabhupada translated so many books, wrote wonderful purport for us to understand why detest this material body. Yes, this material body is important for us to perform our devotion services, to chant, to do services. Yes, that way it is important. But the material body itself is designed to give lots of distress to the soul. If you look at the material body, so it has what? 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and 1 mind, right? So working senses, hands, legs, tongue, eyes, hand, legs, tongues, genitals, and anus. Those are the working senses. And knowledge acquiring, we know eyes, tongue again, ears, nose, and skin. And then mind, 11. So suppose the tongue has 2 activities, eating and chatting, talking. So suppose, let's take the process of eating. So tongue wants to eat something very, very tasty. Of course, everybody's sense of taste is different. Some people like spicy food, some people like sweet food, some people like bland food, some people like different kind of food. So tongue is supposed to give pleasure. It's seeking pleasure of taste. How much taste we can really taste at a time? Suppose I like sweets and I'm given a full box of gulab jamuns or rasgullas. How many rasgullas I can eat? And for how long that taste will last on the tongue? For a few seconds only. And after that rasgulla is gone into the stomach gets full. And after a while, you won't even want to look at rasgullas. Similarly, other senses. Look at skin. I mean, skin is covering the whole body. How much pleasure skin can give? Just skin's pleasure-giving potency is by touch. So men want to touch women, women want to touch men, and by that touching process, it gives some pleasure. Or touching a soft body, touching a hard body, whatever kind of body, it gives some pleasure. But now looking at all the organs and all these senses, how much pain these senses and these organs can give. If we look at the skin, let's look at skin. Everybody can look at their skin. Some people might have wonderful, nice, shiny skin. Some people will not have that. But on skin, there's so many hair. Matajis might not have that much hair that men have. So many hair. Do the hair give any kind of pleasure? Except, of course, everybody likes to comb their hair on the head and give it different shapes and this and that, and we think we look beautiful because of hair. But look at hair. Look at hair on our hands. Do these hair give any pleasure? No. They have some purpose for to be there. Otherwise, Krishna wouldn't have put them on the skin. But what kind of pleasure they are giving? Nothing. But can they give pain? Yeah, if somebody plucks hair, it gives pain. But even more pain can be experienced Have you ever heard of a problem called Bal Tod? Has anybody have any experience with that?
Yes, Prabhuji.
By Krishna's mercy, I have had twice that experience. And it's very, very, very painful. And it happened on my knees. I couldn't even bend the knee for such a long time. It used to hurt like anything. It's very painful. So every hair follicle on a body, every hair on our body is potentially designed to give us that Bal-Tora problem. Just see now throughout the skin. So pretty much every single square millimeter of our skin can give excruciating pain. And the tongue we discussed. Tongue, okay, eat something nice. It gives temporary and very little pleasure. But can tongue give pain? Yes, plenty of pain. We have heard of tongue cancer. We can feel it when the tongue comes between the teeth. It gives pain. Or when tongue gets burnt because we eat something hot, it gives lots of pain. And similarly, other parts of the body. And what to speak of internal organs? They can give plenty of pains, problems if they're not functioning properly. We never say, oh, my intestines are very ecstatic today. But the same intestines, if they're not functioning properly, if they're not helping in evacuating properly, then they can be cause of lots and lots of problems. Similarly, kidneys and appendix and so many internal organs, liver and lungs, heart. There's so many. So basically, the whole body is designed by Krishna to give us pain and ultimately to make us detached from this material body. And so that we develop a desire, I don't want a material body again. And then on top of it, it gets old. Old means organs, either they stop functioning properly or they stop functioning completely. Means more problems. So the idea is we don't want this body. But what do we want then? We want to grow our spiritual body, which is our original position. We want to grow that. And the process is very simple. Just perform Bhakti Yoga. Just do Hari Nam, Hari Katha, Hari Puja, Hari Seva. So the spiritual body starts growing. Now it's up to us how much effort we put in. So in that proportion, the spiritual body grows. And what is a symptom of a person who has grown spiritual body? Those are the questions that Arjuna asked in the second chapter. Sthit Pragya. What are the symptoms of Sthit Pragya? And Krishna also talks about those symptoms in 13th chapter. End of 12th chapter. Again and again, those symptoms will come. Basically, those symptoms are of the people who are spiritually more evolved, spiritually advanced. Not of materially advanced. Not if somebody has more money, he will have those symptoms. No way. Or somebody is more knowledgeable, or somebody is more beautiful or handsome, he will have those symptoms. No. Only somebody spiritually evolved. So all we have to do is perform our services, perform our sadhana properly. So we can also develop those symptoms. And then on top of it, we have to work on those symptoms. Of course, they will be developed because they are the natural position of the soul. But at the same time, we have to work also on that. And that is when we are trying to not get another material body. We're trying to transfer ourselves to Golok Vrindavan. Of course, on our own, it's not possible, but when we sincerely put in our effort, Guru's mercy and Krishna's mercy will be there, and they take us back to the spiritual world. That's the whole process. Bhakti process is of the process of mercy. Complete mercy. We are dependent upon the mercy. We talk about causeless mercy. That's in Krishna, or that's in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Or Prabhupada can show his causeless mercy. Causeless means we haven't put in our effort to the extent that they give us a result. That is the causeless. So that's what we have to do. And this is the yoga of the Supreme Person. That is what the chapter is entitled. Text 9. Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasnam granam eva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishyanu sevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So this is basically based on the consciousness. In other words, if the living entity adulterates his consciousness with the qualities of cats and dogs, in his next life he gets a cat or dog body and enjoys. See, the living entity, because it's part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is a supreme enjoyer. We also want to enjoy. We are part of Krishna ultimately. But we try to enjoy this material body. And our position is to enjoy service of Krishna. Consciousness is originally pure like water, but if we mix water with a certain color, it changes. Similarly, consciousness is pure, for the spirit soul is pure, but consciousness is changed according to the association of the material qualities. Real consciousness is Krishna consciousness. When therefore one is situated in Krishna consciousness, he is in his pure life. So when therefore one is situated, situation is what? We are performing our sadhana, we are performing a yoga process. Means we are linking ourselves with Krishna in Krishna consciousness. Chanting is what? That's why Prabhupada again and again talked about don't do mechanical chanting. Of course, mechanical chanting is also better than not chanting at all, but it's better to put in some effort. Active chanting. Preparing ourselves to pray to Krishna. Please, Radharani and Krishna, please engage me in your service. Hare Krishna, when you're chanting, you're praying, and this thought should come to our mind. I'm praying, please, Krishna. Then the cry, the tears should come out that I don't want to live here anymore. I want to be with you. I want to be serving you. Please engage me in your service. And there is no way that Radha and Krishna can avoid the sincere prayers of their devotees. No way. They have shown again and again in the scriptures. And whenever a devotee is calling them, they would come running, especially Srimati Radharani. She's so compassionate. Krishna could say, oh, Sarvadharman Pariteja, then I will come. This and that. Radharani, Krishna came with that mood in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu is so merciful. So merciful. Just chant. Nityanand Prabhu is more merciful. Just what's the price? He said, just faith. That's it. Shraddhavan Janare. That's why in Kali Yuga we are in a real good position. Of course, if you look materially, it's a very bad position, but spiritually, it's a very good position. There's little effort in chanting, and Mahaprabhu's mercy will be there. Srila Prabhupada's mercy will be there. So Prabhupada further writes, real consciousness is Krishna consciousness. When therefore one is situated in Krishna consciousness, he is in his pure life. But if his consciousness is adulterated by some type of material mentality, in the next life he gets a corresponding body. He does not necessarily get a human body again. He can get the body of a cat, dog, hog, demigod, or one of many other forms, for there are 8,400,000 species. So this is all what we have to do, to develop real consciousness, not to develop, I mean the consciousness is already there, it's just we have to remove the covering of improper consciousness and to bring the real consciousness, bring it forth, bring it in the foreground. And more we work on it, more and more better we are. Because this is the only asset that we can take with ourselves when we die. Nothing else we can take. Text 10. Utkramantam sitam vapi gunjanam va gunamitam vimudalana pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body. Now can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The word jnana chakshusha is very significant. Without knowledge, one cannot understand how a living entity leaves his present body, nor what form of a body he is going to take in the next life, nor even why he is living in a particular type of body. See, those who don't have knowledge, they only take this body as all in all. This body, the byproducts of this body, or the things that this body is related to, that's all. I'm Punjabi. I'm man. I'm Punjabi. I'm born in this family, so this family is mine. My job is only to protect, to take care of this family. And then further on, okay, I'm born in this society, so every other society is bad. My society is the best. My community is the best. My state, the state I was born in, is the best. And then it further goes, the country that I was born in is the best. What is this? It's only related to body. And we keep on fighting based on this body. And what that fight will do? Okay, we will lose this body, but the soul remains. Soul cannot be cut to pieces. Soul cannot die. Okay, soul will get another body. Indian and Pakistani soldiers, they're fighting on the border. And consciousness will be what? Indians are thinking of Pakistanis. Pakistanis are thinking of Indian soldiers. So when Indians die, maybe they'll get a Pakistani body next life. And when Pakistani dies, he gets an Indian body next life. Hindu and Muslim rights. Hindu dies and thinking of Muslim. He might get a Muslim body. He might take birth in a Muslim family next life. A Muslim, when he is thinking of Hindu, when he is killing or dying, he can take birth in a Hindu family next life. So next life, the Hindu who was Muslim before, he is going to fight against the Muslims, and Muslim who was Hindu before, he is going to fight against Hindus. What is this? And this will go on. This is not the end. And this is not what we are here for. So we are supposed to develop Gyan Chakshusha, knowledge, or eyes of knowledge. And not just develop ourselves. Krishna says in 18th chapter, one who gives this knowledge to others, he is most dear to me. So we have to develop this knowledge, understand this knowledge, and then give this knowledge to others. And we become dear to Krishna. And this is what Prabhupada is writing. This requires a great amount of knowledge understood from Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures heard from a bona fide spiritual master. One who is trained to perceive all these things is fortunate. Every living entity is quitting his body under certain circumstances. He is living under certain circumstances and he is enjoying under certain circumstances under the spell of material nature. So Maya makes us think that I'm enjoying this body, but it's not true. As a result, he is suffering different kinds of happiness and distress under the illusion of sense enjoyment. Persons who are everlastingly fooled by lust and desire lose all power to understand the change of body and their stay in a particular body. They cannot comprehend it. Those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body and is changing its body and enjoying in different ways. A person in such knowledge can understand how the conditioned living entity is suffering in this material existence. Therefore, those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general, for their conditional life is very much troublesome. They should come out of it and be Krishna conscious and liberate themselves to transfer to the spiritual world. So this compassionate nature, it's also an innate quality of the soul. So when we see somebody suffering, so those who are spiritually advanced, they really become compassionate. Of course, in second chapter of Gita, Prabhupada, or Krishna does say, and Prabhupada also writes in the purport, that Arjuna didn't know where to place this compassion. He was compassionate towards the body. And Krishna was saying, being compassionate towards the soul. Of course, when we are working, we have to be compassionate towards the body as well as to the soul. So means for the body, food is important, clothes is important, shelter is important. But for the soul, Krishna's bhakti, Krishna's service is important. So try to give both to whatever extent we can, and then make the soul develop its own connection with Krishna, or revive his lost or forgotten connection with Krishna, and that will make Krishna very happy. So I'll stop here. See anybody have any questions, because the topic was a little too technical. So anybody has any questions or comments?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was very, very, very nice class. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Mata. Any other question, comment? Yeah, सब कुछ ऊपर से निकल गया. It was a bouncer.
No, Prabhuji, still thinking whatever it said. Very nice class, eye-opening one, and very nicely explained. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day, chanting 64 rounds. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Prabhuji.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.